Hello and welcome back to RetroBreak. Last weekend I was very excited because I went to the first ever Birmingham gaming market put on by Replay Events. It feels like only yesterday that I was in Birmingham game shopping, but that was for the Revival Expo, so if you want to see that, go and check out my video from last week. But for now, let's take a look at the Birmingham Retro Market and then we'll come back here and check out some amazing pickups that I got while I was at the show. Enjoy!
Get ready.
So I really hope you enjoyed that quick look around the Birmingham Retro Market. Unfortunately, it was extremely busy, so it was kind of difficult to get footage, and unfortunately one lady didn't want me recording her stall, so we didn't actually get that on the camera. but I can show you all the really cool games that I got. So let's start with a nice amount of original Game Boy games. So the first one here, and kind of starting on a bad note, the first one we've got here is Othello, and it actually turns out that I've already got this game, and it's actually in the cabinet back there. So that's one of the problems of having such a big collection. Occasionally I do slip up, and unfortunately I do get a few duplicates from time to time, but I'm trying to get better at that. I've started to make my own spreadsheet to keep track of all the games I've got, especially as I'm aiming to get a complete set of UK Game Boy games. It's really good to keep on top of it so that doesn't happen again in the future. Luckily though, all the rest of these are ones that I don't have. So this one here I think I got from Deadpan Robot. This is Miss Pac-Man, a really good port of the arcade game for the original Game Boy. Really nice sprites on this one, and it plays really well too. And the next one here, I actually got this complete in box. This is Nemesis for the Game Boy. Really amazing condition this one is, like pristine, not a scratch on it. And it did come with the instructions as well. There they are. I'll be a bit careful opening it up. So I'll do a few close-ups of the box and the instruction manual for it. But of course, Nemesis is one of Konami's very famous side-scrolling shooting games, part of the Gradius series, I believe. Really, really impressed by this Game Boy version of the game. There's almost no slowdown whatsoever, even when there's loads of sprites all over the screen. So I would highly recommend checking out Nemesis if you haven't gave it a go already. Really impressed by this one. The next one here, nothing too exciting. This one's Lamborghini American Challenge for the Game Boy. I don't really know who made this. Actually, it's made by Titus, it says in the corner. Of course, from Titus the Fox fame. So, not a great game, but I guess it's kind of cool to see an into-the-screen racer for the original Game Boy. It's always nice to see developers that try to do something a little bit different to your standard side-scrolling game, so not too bad. And it was only a few quid, I think. It hasn't got the price on it. Now, next up we have, by Accolade, it is Asteroids, and as well as that I also picked up the Asteroids and Missile Command arcade collection. So there's only one more of the arcade collection games that I need for my collection. If I look up here, I've got here arcade collection 3 and 4. These ones have Defender, Joust, Gallagher and Galaxian. And the one I got there has Centipede and Asteroid. So I only need one more of them to get the whole set of Arcade Classic series. So I'm definitely looking out for that one at the next event that I go to. And of course this Asteroids game here is exactly the same as the one that's in the collection. So if you are thinking of getting Asteroids for the Game Boy, get it in the arcade collection rather than the individual game. Unless you're a collector like me, in which case you need to get both of them. And I've already looked at that one. The next one here is Micro Machines, and I got that one in the box as well. Once again, really, really nice condition. I don't know where they got these games from, but it's amazing to see original Game Boy games in such good shape. And I think this one came with the manual as well. Let's have a look. Yeah, the manual's in there as well. Quite a thick manual for this one. So I'm really happy to have that. If you saw in my last pickups video from Revival Expo, I actually picked up the Game Boy Color version of Micro Machines. So it's really good to also have the original Game Boy version here as well. So really happy with that one. And it's always great to get boxed Game Boy games in such good condition. Now there's 3 more Game Boy games here, and then I've got some really interesting other bits and pieces. So this one here, this is quite a rare one. This one was £15, which I think is a good price for it. This is BC Kid, of course also known as Bonk, from the Bonk's Adventure games on the PC Engine and the Turbo Graphics. So this is the Game Boy version. It did also come out on the NES and the SNES. I haven't given it a go yet, but I'll definitely give it a go before this video goes live. So let me know what you think of the gameplay that's up there in the corner. Hopefully it was fun to play. I hope it is, because it was one of the more expensive games for the original Game Boy. But I'm very excited to have this one. And the next one here, I don't really know anything about this game. I don't know whether it was part of a cartoon or anything. This one's called The Fidgets. So I really don't know what it's about, but I've gave it a little go. It seems like a kind of puzzle platformer where you have to swap between the 2 different characters to complete the levels. Kind of like that game on the SNES with the Vikings, Lost Vikings I think it's called. So if you like those sort of puzzle games, then definitely check this one out. And the last one we have here, and I spent ages trying to find a Game Boy game that I didn't have at one particular stall. He even got out loads of boxes of Game Boy games from under the counter, and unfortunately this was the only game that I didn't have, but I left this one until last because I think this is the best game that I got on the original Game Boy. It's called Snoopy's Magic Show, and I think it's actually a really interesting game. It's got a really nice concept. It's very simple, but it's very addictive. This is the one that I've played the most out of all the pickups that I got from the Birmingham Retro Market. So really happy to have this one and highly recommend it if you're after a more puzzle-based adventure kind of game for the original Game Boy. Really happy with this one. So that's it for Game Boy games, and I also got a few other bits and pieces. I was mostly looking for Game Boy games, but I couldn't pass up Battalion Wars on the GameCube. Of course, part of the Famicom Wars, the Advance Wars, the Game Boy Wars, very long running series. I really enjoy Battalion Wars 2 on the Wii, but I'd never actually owned the original GameCube one, so I'm very excited to give this one a go at some point in the future. And it was only 14 quid as well. I've seen it go for a lot more than that on eBay, so really happy to finally get Battalion Wars, the first one for the GameCube. And here we have a game for the PC Engine called Deep Blue. If you've been watching my channel for a while, you'll know that I'm a very big fan of shooters, horizontal and vertical scrolling, and I'm also a very big fan of the PC Engine, so I couldn't pass up the chance to get a horizontal scrolling shooter for the PC Engine for only 15 quid. That's probably one of the cheapest ones that I've got so far, so fingers crossed it's a good game as well. And now for something really interesting. I didn't expect to be picking any of these games up soon. I don't know whether you can guess what they are before I show you. They are N-Gage games. Yes, I don't even have an N-Gage, but I couldn't pass up on these games when I saw them. It's going to make a really interesting video in the future, so fingers crossed I can find an N-Gage phone for fairly cheap. I've been trying to look on eBay and Amazon and things, but some of the prices on there are a bit crazy, like £75 to over £200 for a system, which is just insane. But anyway, I can show you the games that I picked up. This is Super Monkey Ball, and this one is actually brand new and sealed. It's even got the little Nokia sticker thing in the corner. That was 9 quid. I don't think I'm going to open this one up, so when I get an N-Gage, I'm going to buy another copy of it and keep this one sealed because it seems like such a shame to open it up after this long. The next one here, and this is one that I really wanted to play on the N-Gage. I know it's basically a port of Sonic Advance 2, but this is Sonic N for the N-Gage. Would be really interesting to see the differences between this and the Game Boy Advance version. So I'm really happy to have this one for my Sonic collection. And we've also got Tony Hawk's Pro Skater, which I'm guessing is a port of the PS1 original. So that'll be really interesting to see how that plays on it. And Pandemonium, one of my favourite games on the Sega Saturn. If you saw my Saturn collection video, you'll know that I really love the Pandemonium series. So once again, be really interesting to see how this compares to the other 32-bit versions out there. And the final one I picked up here, and probably the game that the N-Gage is most well known for, this is the original Tomb Raider. So really happy to get all of these games for the N-Gage. Now I just need a system to play it on. So that's something a bit different, a bit more interesting. And just before I wrap this video up, I picked up 2 other things while I was there. These are 2 gaming magazines. One was Nintendo Magazine System from January 1992, so that's always interesting to see what was new at the time and what they were excited about and read the letters and things. And the other one here is Total Nintendo. I love reading the Total GB magazines. I've got them all downloaded on my iPad, so I couldn't help myself when I saw that they had a few Total magazines on offer. I'll do a few little close-ups on these so you can see what some of them is like inside. So there we go, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed this video about the Birmingham gaming market. If you were there, let me know in the comments what games you picked up. If you weren't, then this will hopefully give you a good idea of what it's like, and hopefully I'll see you there next year when they put the next one on. Fingers crossed they do another one. So thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe if you haven't already. Check out my Patreon, there's a link in the description below. I don't usually say about my Patreon, so definitely go and have a look at that if you want to support me just a little bit. And as always, I'll see you next week for another episode. Goodbye!